Hey, welcome to How to Build a Resume with your host, Zach Wepfer. Throughout this series, we're going to be taking a look at just that. And today, we're going to look at what are all the different parts of a resume that are required. You definitely want to keep them on your resume no matter what. And then what are some of the optional parts that you can put in depending on where you're at in your career and depending on what sort of information you want to share. So let's go ahead and dive straight in. All right, so for today's call, we're going to jump in and start first with what are some of the things that are required? So we're going to dissect all these different individual pieces later on. But one of the pieces that a lot of people forget to really think about is the file names. When you save your resume and you send it to someone, how do we name that resume? Another thing is the file type. What type of file are we sharing out? And there's some things to consider there. Now on the resume itself, you want to look at your contact information, education, work experience, and the length of a resume should be 1 page, absolutely no more than 2. I think 2 is okay depending on where you're at in your career and depending on what sort of work that you do, but I'd highly recommend no more than 2 pages. Here's some optional things to think about. So some folks will put a summary or maybe a profile up in their resume. They may also have an objective. What are they trying to do with this? They might include a section for skills or expertise. And if you're multilingual and you speak 2 or more languages, it could be really valuable to add a languages section. Additionally, I think it makes a lot of sense to have a volunteer experience section. And projects are especially important if you were maybe early in your career, let's say maybe in college, or if you're looking to try and pivot and to do something new. And then last but not least are going to be hobbies and or interests. It can be a nice way to sort of share your personality, to share a little bit more about who you are beyond just your academic and your experience. So there are a couple things that you don't need. I can't reiterate this enough. You don't need more than 2 pages. This isn't a list of everything that you've ever done in your life. For me, I worked as a cashier at McDonald's in high school. It was on my resume in high school. It was probably on my resume pretty early on in college, maybe my freshman, sophomore year of college, but it certainly isn't anymore. And so I'd recommend that as you progress through your career, you look at all the different things that are on your resume and think, what is the most relevant? What does my reader want to see? If that's the recruiter or the hiring manager or the team that I'm potentially going to be working with in the future, what are the things that they want to see that are going to help me be competitive for this opportunity? So real quick resume length tip. So a lot of folks have spouted out how long do recruiters look at a resume. I've heard anything from 60 seconds to 30 seconds to 7 seconds. But the point is when you're applying to a job, oftentimes you're going to be competing with dozens or hundreds or maybe even thousands of applicants, especially if you're applying to a job at a top firm, a very competitive firm or competitive company. So if you think about your resume, take a look at a piece of paper. Fold that piece of paper in half vertically, fold it in half, open it back up. The top half, that's really where you're capturing the attention of your reader, whoever your reader might be. So if they are looking through and they see that it's 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, oftentimes that top half of the first page is going to determine, are they going to continue reading your resume or are they going to move on to the next individual's resume that might be a better fit for what they're looking for. So throughout the series, like I said earlier, we're going to dissect all the different sections that are required. I think you should definitely have them on your resume. We're also going to look at different sections that are optional. And if you want to include them and they make sense for you, then certainly you could do so. And we'll also take a look later on at making a resume from scratch. And we'll probably use Microsoft Word or maybe Google Docs for that. And we'll also look at making a resume from a template. So thanks for watching today and hope you're doing well. Cheers.